What's going on in Aleppo? Can we really grasp the full picture of what's happening in Aleppo when we're only seeing part of it? Or could it be that the images we're seeing are just a smokescreen that's hiding the truth? Today, we're going to take you on a journey that will challenge your thinking. We'll show you how the pieces are moving in the big game being played in Syria and who's involved on the world stage. Who's orchestrating the ongoing clashes in Aleppo? Who is HTS or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham? It's a group that everyone has heard of, but no one really knows much about. Are they a resistance movement or just part of a larger plan? And which groups are responsible for this chaos? As a new Syria is being built, what could be the ultimate goal of this project? Are these wild claims about the so-called Greater Israel Project just conspiracy theories? Or is there something sinister going on? I guarantee that when you watch this video, you'll never see Aleppo, Syria, and maybe the whole Middle East in the same way again. This story isn't about a revolution, a war, or politics. It's about how the world order is being shaped. From the plans made in dark and secret rooms to the deadly games being played to redraw the borders, it's all here. Are you ready to learn the truth? After this video, nothing will ever be the same again. The last century of the Middle East has been marked by a relentless tide of violence, shaped by the proliferation of firearms, the lack of equitable distribution of resources, including fertile agricultural land, minerals, oil, and water, as well as ethnic and sectarian differences, mass interests, and numerous other factors, have contributed to the outbreak of conflict in the region. One of the primary causes of the enduring conflict in the region is the aspiration of major powers to exert control over the region. The Middle East was reshaped after the First World War under the mandate of Europeans, particularly the British, following the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire. However, the missteps and upheaval in Europe following the Second World War resulted in a shift in the dominant powers in the Middle East. The United States became increasingly involved in Middle Eastern affairs, engaging in a geopolitical competition with the Soviet Union and its successor state, Russia, for influence in the region. Subsequently, China also became involved in this conflict, operating behind the scenes. One of the fundamental tenets of the United States policy of asserting dominance in the Middle East is to bolster the position of Israel, which serves as a strategic outpost for Western interests in the region. Israel's role in the region can be seen as analogous to that of the Crusaders in the Middle East during the 12th and 13th century. In addition to maintaining and expanding its presence in the region, Israel's objective is to guarantee the continued involvement of the United States and Europe in the region. The United States' intention is to advance Israel's position in the region, thereby redrawing the map of the Middle East in a manner that aligns with its interests. This is part of the Greater Middle East Project. This has resulted in, and continues to result in, wars that will persist for years. In order to guarantee Israel's security, forge a new alliance with it, and diminish the influence of regional powers, the prospect of a four-part Kurdistan is being considered. The initial decisive military action was undertaken following the invasion of Iraq in 2003, resulting in the establishment of an autonomous Kurdish state in northern Iraq. The second significant development occurred during the Syrian civil war. Syria, under the rule of Bashar al-Assad, with a paternalistic regime, experienced significant upheaval as a result of the Arab Spring. In 2011, a de facto civil war commenced in the country. A significant number of casualties resulted, with millions of individuals either losing their lives or being forced to abandon their residences. Those opposed to the regime were unable to depose the Damascus government and achieve their objectives. Despite the considerable losses incurred by Bashar al-Assad, he managed to retain his position of power with the backing of Iran and Russia. He managed to retain control in and around Damascus, albeit to a limited extent. The same cannot be said, however, of the eastern Euphrates River region and northern Syria. In the eastern region of the Euphrates River, the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is based on the YPG-PYD, an extension of the Kurdish separatist terrorist organization PKK, has declared the establishment of an autonomous administration. This structure is attempting to formalize itself under the auspices of Israel and the United States, with Russia's complicity. The principal opposition force is the Syrian National Army, previously designated as the Free Syrian Army, and currently operating under the designation Syrian National Army. This group operates in Afrin, Tel Abyad, Jarablus, and Ras al-Ain, where Turkey maintains a military presence. Additionally, there is an opposition group that may be described as jihadists or radical Islamists. This group is headquartered in and around Idlib, which has a population of approximately 3.5 million. It operates under the designation of the National Salvation Government. The principal military entity is the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, led by Abu Muhammad al-Julani. Al-Julani previously represented the Syrian branch of Daesh and participated in the Syrian civil war alongside the al-Nusra Front. The organization subsequently subsequently pledged its allegiance to the Sunni al-Qaeda. In 2017, the group underwent a rebranding and reorganization, adopting the name HTS and declaring its separation from al-Qaeda. However, the intrinsic connection between the two entities persists. HTS is designated as a terrorist organization by Turkey and numerous other countries. Nevertheless, it maintains close contact with some opposition groups that are supported by Turkey. The common objective of these groups is the liberation of Aleppo. Aleppo is the most significant urban center in the region, serving as a vital link between Anatolia and Syria. It boasts a strategic location at a crossroads, a rich historical legacy, and convenient access to the sea. Despite the city having changed hands on numerous occasions throughout the course of the civil war, it has been under the control of the Assad regime since 2016. In 2020, the Moscow Agreement between Turkey and Russia served to consolidate Assad's presence in the region and to ensure a partial de-escalation of the conflict. The situation in northern Syria had been relatively stable for an extended period, and the civil war appeared to have reached a state of equilibrium. However, the events that transpired in Gaza in 2023 once again ignited unrest in the Middle East. In the wake of the Hamas assault on Israel in October 2023, Israel adopted a markedly aggressive stance, leading to the perpetration of a massacre in Gaza. The sequence of events has had a profound impact on the regional geopolitical landscape. Proxy forces representing Iran and Israel began to engage in armed conflict with one another. It is evident that Syria was also affected. Israel's domination of Iran and the Shiite group Hezbollah, which it supports, in Lebanon has resulted in a reduction in the effectiveness of Iranian-backed groups in Syria. Iran has experienced a decline in both power and prestige. Russia, Syria's other patron, is currently engaged in resolving the conflict in Ukraine. Putin is in a position to demand troops from North Korea and may be experiencing difficulties in Ukraine. Another setback for Syria, which has two patrons facing challenges, was the action taken by Israel. Israel launched airstrikes in southern Syria, citing a pretext for doing so. Additionally, the opposition in the northern region has initiated a new phase of mobilization. Once more, Assad was on edge, a state of affairs that had not been experienced for several years. One of the primary motivating factors behind the movement is the electoral process for the presidency in the United States. Trump, who had pledged to withdraw American troops from Syria, was elected president. The change in political leadership will result in a shift in the United States' regional focus. Although the new administration is not expected to pursue a complete withdrawal from the region, it seems inevitable that even if the United States were to reduce its military presence in the region, it would seek to reinforce its proxy force, the PYD, or another group in some way. It is therefore unsurprising that Israel plays an indispensable role in the United States' political vision. In this context, a particular outcome was anticipated, and it materialized. On November 27, 2024, HTS initiated Operation Radul Udwan against Aleppo, citing Russian and Assad regime strikes on the south of Idlib as the impetus for the attack. The assault, which is presumed to have been backed by the United States, likewise garnered assistance from opposition factions backed by Turkey. In response, Assad deployed additional troops to Aleppo and conducted airstrikes on Idlib with the backing of Russia. The message was conveyed to Turkey because the bombing of Idlib will result in 3.5 million people migrating towards Turkey. It can be inferred from the available information that Syrian artillery positions have been neutralized by the Turkish-backed opposition. Given his lack of leverage without the support of Iran and Russia, Assad has been unable to mount an effective response to HTS attacks. The HTS has taken control of vital junctions on the M4 and M5 highways, as well as in the western Aleppo region. The Syrian regime is undertaking the evacuation of certain areas and transferring control of them to the PKK/PYD. It appears that Aleppo will be transferred from one authority to another, resulting in a significant shift in the dynamics of the conflict. The question thus arises as to which party has taken or will take control of Aleppo. The question thus arises as to whether HTS, which has stated that it is present in the area, or the US and Israel, which have expressed support for it, or Turkey, as some have claimed, is responsible for the situation in Aleppo. Another question that arises is why Turkey would support such a move, despite the agreement between Russia and Turkey. Alternatively, could the blame be placed on Turkey with the intention of creating a rift between Turkey and Russia and Iran? The question thus arises as to whether the United States will allow the HTS to gain control of the area in question, or alternatively, prepare it for the YPG. Assuming that Turkey is involved, it is unclear whether the Ankara government's objective is to prevent the Kurds from encroaching on Aleppo, or whether Turkey is being deceived by its allies. It is therefore pertinent to inquire whether the number of terrorist states in northern Turkey will increase to 2. Alternatively, might the Iran-Israel tension be entirely fictional? One might inquire whether Aleppo represents a barrier to be removed from the energy corridor from Israel to Iran. There are numerous inquiries of a similar nature. The resolution of this complex equation, which encompasses numerous unknown variables, will be revealed in the forthcoming days. The eventual alignment of these variables will determine the outcome in Aleppo. What's going on in Aleppo isn't just a fight in one city. It's a reflection of the moves being made on a global chessboard. Today, we've been taking a look at what's going on behind the scenes, at the hidden games, the dark plans, and the hidden truths. But is everything really as clear-cut as it seems? Or could there be more to the story than we realize? Given the role of HTS, the allegations of the Greater Israel Project, and the reshaped borders of Syria, we have to ask ourselves, who's benefiting from all this? And for whose benefit is it happening? If what you're seeing is making you uncomfortable or you're questioning what you're seeing, you've come to the right place. Because it's often the case that the first step to discovering the truth is feeling a little uncomfortable. This video is probably just the start. There's still a lot more to learn and a lot more questions to ask. Just remember, no matter how challenging the truth may be, acknowledging it can always lead to freedom. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think is really behind this chaos? Who's coming out on top and who's falling behind in the competition between the major powers? If you want to stay up to date and join the search for solutions, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. It's up to us to find the truth. We'll be back in the next video to shed light on another truth that's still hidden in the shadows. Keep questioning, it's always worth it.